Hello and welcome. My name is Peter Vaughan. The reason I'm doing this seminar for you is to show you that we have something that may be what everyone's been looking for. It's been right in front of them for some time, has been told to them more often than I'd like to suggest I have done, to the people in the right places, and filled out the forms and made submissions. But no one's come back to it because they don't understand it. And if you don't understand something, you will never see it. Just going to read something I wrote down. If you don't know what you don't know, then you will never see something you're looking for because you won't recognize it. If you don't recognize there's a solution, you'll never find it. You look for one, but you don't know where to look or what to look for. So the government has given a headline out today on the local news feeds, Government Suicide Plan. Now that sounds bad in itself, a suicide plan. What plan equals no plan? If they have given $150 million to add to the supplementary fund for people who look after suicide victims, their families, or try to do the lovely small talk, and they're all good intentioned people, but there's a problem. If the money they throw at it and the people who are supporting and helping people with suicide problems, why is the climate of suicide rising, now at an all-time high? There's a doctor in Whangaparoa, not too far from where I am, who some years ago when I was getting a medical checkup opened an article and said this was interesting. The highest suicide place in the world was Browns Bay in Auckland. Now that's just per capita, Browns Bay. Well, all of that there is part and parcel of what I'm doing here. The solution is available. You've just got to be able to recognize it, and you won't know until you find out. This is going to go some way toward that. So if there's looking for a plan and there is no plan, what plan equals no plan? And no matter how much money you put in the form of a band-aid, a suicide band-aid, the symptoms are underneath this thing. Now you've got to find out what the symptoms are. And people, including Dr. Roger Mulder, who's a doctor professor at the University of Otago, put on an audience, a massive seminar at Waipuna Lodge in Auckland, about 2009, I think. Now, what he did was he went through this massive talk to an audience of, it was a Suicide Awareness Month, and after spending 2.5 hours, I think it was, on the stage, he said, we've spent this much, we've done this, we've researched, we've created pockets of people, we gave these people particular drugs, these people were under serious watch, these people under certain watch, these people under no watch, and they went through the whole thing. People that they thought weren't needing watching suicided, those they thought were going to suicide didn't, people who had the drugs, people who didn't have the drugs, people who had the placebos. They didn't come up with anything in that lot, and after spending $1.2 billion, he said that's what they found out. Nothing. Zero, in fact, was his word. So I did have something to say to the audience, and it seemed to hit a lot of people, so I'm going to repeat that here a wee bit. Problems are underneath, you don't see it. And there are two particular conditions which I've labelled out of a group of 9. 2 particular conditions stand out as being the ones, and these are conditions 7 and 8. Oops, sorry, get rid of that pen. 7 and 8. Now, those are just codes I use in artificial intelligence. I own the company Artificial Intelligence as a footprint with which I'm building this particular process on. So here we have a band-aid, and they put money in it, but the problem is still arising. So that is no plan, it's not working. The problem, the brain creates the fear. Now here's a little person, and there's their brain in the inside here, and what they're seeing in their cloud of their thoughts in their mind, it's a broken heart, it's financial matters perhaps, or a variety of other things, or a collection of them all. And because this dark cloud is above their minds and it's continual, why is it continual? Because although the brain creates the fear, it's a chemistry inside, the fear creates the chemistry. Now there's a part of the brain called the amygdala and the hippocampus in particular, in the limbic system of the brain. What this represents is your primal conditioning, your primal. So inside there you can't access it, it's just there, and it's supposed to help you in survival. But the fear creates the chemistry in the part called the amygdala, which then tells your body to go into flight or fight mode. But what? How do you fight something that's emotional? The chemistry creates the feelings, and outside this person's body are radiating all these feelings. So somebody who knows somebody who's in a bad shape will pick up on another person's feelings. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm cool. This is condition 8. These people say, I'm cool. I just blew in the pen. So this particular part is going on, that people are recognizing some problems here. If the chemistry creates the feelings and the feelings attract an escape, when you can't get away from something, you just want to finish it all. So we have this going on in the body, but then you think, but how can I escape the feelings? And that's when people say, I don't want to be here anymore. I want away from this. I don't want it anymore. So they start thinking about hanging, of driving in front of a truck, of doing something that is just literally terminal, not good. And too many people attempt, and during the attempt they're going, I wish I hadn't done this now, as has been the case. So it's a case of how do we address the problem and how do we help them? Well, when death leaves, it leaves with a footprint. So my little footprint here says, well, a doctor comes along and he checks. Now, I used to be an ambulance, so I've actually seen this going on, and I've worked on people. When I say worked on them, you've got to try and see if the person can be saved. But sometimes you just know they can't be saved. Conditions or circumstances provide that. So they've got no heartbeat. He's checking it out with his tools. They've got eyes are dilated, pupils just expand. Breathing is stopped, so we're checking for that. Sometimes there's discoloration around the mouth, and we're seeing that the lips are going blue or something like that. But there's no response to stimulus. I mean, you can stick pins in certain nerve areas that would really make you react, and nothing happens. The person is dead, and for that particular point, the doctor will give the call, and the person is taken away to be looked at by the coroner if necessary. So all of these are problems, and the person doesn't know what to do. So as they are pumping their feelings out in red here, the purple line's coming and says, what you give out is what you'll get back. It's a law of cause and effect. It just works. So here we are putting out a feeling of despair and I don't know what. And it comes back and says, well, here's your answers. You can kill yourself. Oh, that'll do it. Oh, but what about my family? Well, they don't care about me because they don't understand. Or my friends don't care because they don't understand. My girlfriend has left me for somebody else who I thought was a mate. They don't understand what they've done to me. Oh, he'll be all right. He's done this. He gets like this before. He's lost girlfriends before. It'll never happen. So, the solution. I believe strongly that if there is a problem, a solution exists. So, I created the company, or grabbed the company Artificial Intelligence, which has got an algorithm system in it that's able to identify things in another form that people don't understand or know about yet, so they can't use it. So my AI picks up symptoms. Now, I actually, unbeknownst to yourself, I had a class in this room here last night for which we were pulling up some people that I've never heard of before. We were displaying particular qualities on the whiteboard behind me, and as we went through, these two codes came up every time at the time the person suicided. So I'm able to pick up a symptom of a person. I'm able to pick up a timing of when that person is likely to suicide. I can pick up collateral damage of people around that person who may be associated. In other words, family members, loved ones, friends, work colleagues. If I can pick up all of these three things here with my artificial intelligence software program, which we already have, then 4, initiate it, an anti-suicide plan. Not the government suicide plan. They don't know what they're looking for. Their plan is no plan. An anti-suicide plan. How do I know it works? Because we've used it for some years now. Over the 40 years I've studied a lot of deaths via suicide. So because this too shall pass means that if we take an anti-suicide plan and put it into action with the person, with their support, and with the people around them support, and the person doesn't die, we could say, well, did you actually do anything? We picked up the timing, we picked up the collateral damage. because I sometimes say in a workshop, if one of your family members happens to break a fingernail or stub a toe or get a bruise on their leg, and you go, oh, what? You'll get over it. But what if that person all of a sudden hear in the family that they've lost their life on a road accident, or they're critical, or they've just disappeared. You don't know where they've gone. They've gone absent without leave. They've just disappeared. That's when everybody around has this collateral damage indicators popping up in their makeup. So if I'm able to do this, and I've got an anti-suicide plan, which means a plan of action, at a particular time, this too shall pass. If you can identify what it is, when it is, and what's causing it, and then work through that, that part there fades away because conditions change. You're good, you're not so good, you're back to good again. This stuff here that we've got behind me is real. We've got software for it. It does work. I'm able to identify a huge amount of information that nothing's ever happened to before. And funny enough, the government doesn't want to know. What does that tell you? Some people want to know why their family member suicided. Well, that part I can help them as well, because timing is in the present. But before this video you're watching me right now, before this particular time, there was a beginning to this video. And from that particular point of time, which was now, when you started watching it, right here would be the future. So here we are in the present, and by the time this video finishes, it will be the future from this point of time. So as I start to close down, you can reach me at petervaughan77@gmail.com, and today's date is the 11th of September 2019. Isn't that interesting? 9/11 day, or 11/9, but that's the American date that the Twin Towers were noted to have come down. So to avoid that, to identify something before it comes up, that is an action plan, and money put into these sorts of things which has no effect because it doesn't work, is proof that it doesn't work. This is where this kind of information will help. Now I've come to the end of this video, so I'm now in the future from when I discussed it before, and this is what we can track. We can track timing with the software that we have. It works because it works on a computer, and if the computer picks it up every time, then we've got an answer to start looking at and expanding on. And that's where the money should be put in by the government to support the development of the software, because what it can do is mind-blowing. And over the 40 years I've been working with it, people call me a numbers man. It's got nothing to do with numbers. Numbers themselves are a language, just like music is a language, Braille is a language, people speak other languages. But what we've got here is a language which is to do with the way that we think, because we can't think without words. Words are made of letters. I've studied letters and the sounds that letters make and how they affect the body right from birth. And that's where personalities are formed. That's where crime comes from. That's where symptoms can be identified for criminology, which I've done a lot of study on. So what I study is language, the language of letters and words, numbers and combinations. And artificial intelligence and our algorithms are therefore language. Nothing spooky in that, because a computer can take over. Peter Vaughan signing off. petervaughan77@gmail.com, and you'll get me. Thanks for watching this clip. Sorry about it being a bit long.